There is a kind of bread sitting in front of me that you cannot bite. This wasn't bread left out on the counter. It was baked deliberately to be as hard as a roof tile, dense enough, one sailor swore, to stop a musket ball. So how did a tasteless little slab you can't even sink your teeth into keep the largest navy on Earth functional for 300 years? To find out, I am going to bake one from scratch, perform the pest removal rituals of a real seaman, and then bite into it to see what 3 centuries of sailors were actually chewing on. The mechanics of this dough explain how a tiny island nation projected power across the globe. In the 1660s, a naval voyage from Portsmouth might last 6 months or a year. There was no refrigeration, and canning wouldn't exist for another century and a half. Inside a wooden ship, anything fresh rots, molds, or crawls within weeks. Standard bread turns green and furry almost before you clear the harbor. This presented European admirals with a calculation. How do you feed thousands of men for months with food that will not spoil? Samuel Pepys, a naval administrator in the 1660s, addressed this by regularizing the Navy's victualling, the logistical system of feeding the fleet. He established a standard daily ration, 1 pound of ship's biscuit and a gallon of weak beer, which stayed drinkable longer than stored water. Preserving calories allowed fleets to blockade enemies through the winter and project power across oceans. Food that didn't rot was a strategic weapon. The raw materials for this technology are found in any kitchen. The standard recipe requires only coarse, stone-ground wholemeal flour, a pinch of salt, and just enough water to bind them. The engineering logic here is subtractive. The recipe excludes yeast, fat, and sugar. Without these reactive ingredients, there is nothing to turn rancid or feed mold spores. The biscuit's effectiveness lies in its simplicity and the intentional removal of elements causing organic decay. Because there is so little water, the dough is incredibly stiff. It fights you as you knead it, feeling more like modeling clay. After rolling it out to ½ an inch thick, it is cut into uniform circular rounds. Next comes docking, where the dough is pricked through with a spike or a fork. This prevents trapped steam from forcing the layers apart during baking. Without holes, steam creates an internal pocket. Any soft pocket traps moisture, the primary enemy of naval preservation. That damp spot becomes a breeding ground for mold, ruining the biscuit. To eradicate every trace of water, the Royal Dockyards baked the biscuits up to 4 times. This process resulted in incredible longevity. During the American Civil War, soldiers were sometimes issued hardtack baked 15 years earlier, during the Mexican-American War. It was still edible. The final product exiting the hot oven is a moisture-proof fired ceramic, engineered for shelf lives that span several decades. My batch has fully cooled. It sits here next to a cup of black coffee, the modern equivalent of a sailor's morning liquid. Biting this dry is dangerous. There's no give. It is structurally identical to biting a wooden spoon. Even if you could bite it, you'd find it was a worm castle. Within weeks at sea, weevils and maggots inevitably moved into the dry crumb. Sailors would wrap the biscuits smartly on the edge of the table to shake the weevils out before eating. A more patient method was to soak the biscuit in hot coffee and wait for the dead maggots to float up, where they could be skimmed off. Many men simply ate in the dark, choosing not to see what they were consuming. Utilizing this technology required a daily tolerance for physical discomfort and psychological detachment. This diet provided 5,000 calories a day, the fuel needed to haul ropes in the cold, yet it couldn't prevent men from dying in staggering numbers. The killer was scurvy, caused by the total absence of vitamin C in the naval diet. Scurvy is a collapse of the body's connective tissue. First, the gums rot, then teeth loosen, and old wounds split open again. In 1747, Surgeon James Lind tested cures by splitting 12 sick sailors into 6 pairs. He gave them different remedies, from vinegar and cider to oranges and lemons. The pair receiving the citrus fruit recovered so quickly they were back on duty within days. Despite Lind publishing these findings in 1753, it took the Navy 40 years to implement lemon juice rations. The biscuit's engineering strength, its total lack of fresh, perishable elements, allowed it to silently slaughter half a crew below decks. I'm breaking a corner off my biscuit now and dropping it into the hot coffee. After soaking, it turns into a chewy mouthful of toasted wheat. It is plain and nutty, with no richness or sweetness. It tastes like survival. It is a substance designed not to delight, but to keep a human alive for one more leg of a journey. That piece of pale stone in a museum case is the quiet, unbreakable technology that floated the age of sail.